Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you and welcome you to this learned community. I am pleased to see so many senior professors, teachers, colleagues, field vets, postgraduates and undergraduate students from length and breadth of country. Thank you all for joining. Surgeons who champion minimally invasive surgery are enthusiastic to prove its efficiency and are approaching the challenge vigorously. At the seat of success of minimally invasive surgery is the constant upgrading of surgical instruments, which have gone from crude, cumbersome gadgets to sophisticated, robotically controlled instruments. In observing the rapid and successful implementation of these changes, one can only marvel at the accomplishments that lie ahead. Although improved instruments make the procedure easier and more effective for the surgeon must learn to master the new technology. Thus, the procedure involves a learning curve with its risk. We as surgeons must be certain that the rate of acceptance does not jeopardize patient's safety. Time has proven many minimally invasive procedures to be effective. Other techniques need more time. There is no doubt that patient will benefit from these new operations, but we must proceed cautiously and question and review our results. So, with an idea to update our knowledge and skills pertaining to minimal invasive surgery, our today's webinar is on minimal invasive surgery in small animals, clinical experience, to be presented by Dr. G.S. Khandekar sir from Mumbai. Dr. Khandekar currently working as Professor, Department of Veterinary Surgery and Radiology at Mumbai Veterinary College, MAPSU, Mumbai, did his bachelor's, master's, and doctorate from Bombay Veterinary College, and now known as Mumbai Veterinary College. And he did his postgraduate diploma in sustainable rural development from NIRD, Hyderabad. He served at Bombay Veterinary College in various capacities with a total experience of more than 27 years in teaching, research, and extension. He established Center of Excellence, which is very renowned for laparoscopy training for veterinarians and medicos under RKVY scheme. He has published more than 100 national and international research papers, guided 20 postgraduate students and 3 PhD students. He has received a total of 12 research recommendations on laparoscopy, thoracoscopy, and thyloscopy. Worked as PI of various research projects sponsored by RKVY, IIT, and he is also a co-PI of an ICR project on clinical evaluation of porcine skin graft for treatment of open wound in canines and felines. He has co-authored one book chapter and prepared 5 manuals for laparoscopy training. He has conducted and organized more than 25 hands-on training for vets and 4 for medicos at the Laparoscopy Center of Department of Surgery and Radiology at Mumbai Veterinary College. He has trained several staff and students of different universities, field veterinarians of Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Karnataka, Goa, etc. Not only that, during the COVID-19 pandemic, he pioneered a one of its kind 4-day international online training program on basics of small animal laparoscopy as a coordinator, which benefited more than 3,000 participants from India and 19 other countries. He was bestowed upon with Fellow of Indian Society for Veterinary Surgery in 2018 for his outstanding contribution to the fraternity and several other honors like Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore Samman 2011, Bharat Jyoti Award 2012, Best Volunteer Award for NSS 1989, Best Teacher in 2005 and 2006. He delivered several lectures on minimal invasive surgery as an expert speaker at different institutes, workshops, and training. In view of his expertise in minimal invasive surgery in small animals, I would request Dr. Khandekar, sir, to deliver today's webinar on minimal invasive surgery in small animals, clinical experience. Khandekar, sir, please.
Good evening, one and all my respected seniors, teachers, gurus, and all the delegates participating in this webinar of IHVS. sponsored by Intas. Basically, conventional surgery played a major role in the veterinary surgery, and many of the stalwarts have developed many techniques in conventional surgery. But nowadays, the more demand for the minimally invasive surgery in human practice as well as in veterinary practice, many of the people are interested. Even many workers, many doctors and surgeons are interested to diagnose the case properly and to treat in with minimally invasive surgery. It's basically the most of the times the surgeons and diagnosticians get confused or confirmed. Uh, a challenge for them to get a real view of the internal abdomen, and the laparoscopy gives a better view or actual picture of the internal organs. That's why the laparoscopy is more useful comparative to the radiography, ultrasonography, and other modalities or ancillary tools used for the diagnosis, where you can visualize the case directly. This particularly in endoscopy, the word is derived from the Greek, the prefix from endo, that is the inner part, and the verb spoken means the observe with purpose. This classified broadly, it is explained. Two types of endoscopies are there. One is rigid endoscopy, and other is the flexible endoscope. The flexible endoscopes are generally used for the hollow organs, tubular organs like intestine, this trachea, bronchi, yeah, this stomach, and colon, this type. This flexible endoscopy, which has attached with the fiber optic cables with the camera, which visualizing internal organs, which is having the this ability to turn left, right, up, down. So you can visualize the this particularly hello organs properly. Basically, gastroscopy, bronchoscopy, cystoscopy, colonoscopy. This nowadays capsule endoscopy is the most advanced version in endoscopy, where you can pass the capsule, which gives the periodical pictures of the gastrointestinal tract and any abnormality, any difficulties or any issues are there which can be captured by that particular capsule, and which will be then viewed, and according to the case can be treated. This rigid endoscopy is a telescope generally is used. This is again having the same. This is need a fiber optic cable along with the light source camera, which is attached with the rigid telescope, and which can be inserted in the either in the abdominal cavity or the thoracic cavity, or maybe can be used for any other organs like this joints and this thing. This laparoscopy, arthroscopy, thylacoscopy is the one of the new modality where you can treat the any affections of the teeth and other with the help of the small telescope of the 1.7 mm, 1.7 mm, and we can treat the any affections with the teeth canal and like this. This accordingly, this particularly rigid endoscopy have more importance in veterinary practice nowadays as well as in medical practice. In medical practice, generally the rigid endoscopy is generally used for the dealing with the many disorders in the abdominal cavity, either tumors or any reproductive organ or any small surgeries, also in the daycare surgery. This nowadays having high demand in medical practice, and the same is veterinarians are following nowadays. So that's why we are from in 2007 we started doing this laparoscopy continuously, and we have established the center for the training of veterinarians and medicos to improve their hands-on skill and the proper service to the society. So basically, this is the some instruments are there where you can see flexible endoscope. You can see where the endoscope is there having fiber optic cable. This and the one on the teeth there is the camera, and one working channel is there, through that you can pass the snares or biopsy forceps and this thing in the hollow organs, and they can turn right, left, or up, down, and you can collect the biopsy, or you can visualize the organs properly and diagnose the any disorder in maybe stomach, maybe esophagus, or this part of the duodenum. Also, you can go for the colonoscopy also. This is the telescope which is used for the rigid endoscopy. That is a These are the telescope. Many telescopes are available: 5 mm, 10 mm, 1.5 mm for arthroscopy, or maybe telescopy. The small size telescopes are available. These telescopes are having 0 degree angle, 30-degree angle. So basically 0 degree is used for the initial worker, but 30 degree is used for the expert work. This conventional, if you think about the conventional surgery, it is, there is a lot of tissue damages are there. We are disturbing the adjacent tissue, and you can disturb the intestinal motility or other functions and physiology of the organs, and a lot of disturbances are there, and possibility of more adhesions, bleeding, and this is there. That's why recovery and this of the and to start the normal motility of intestine and other organs takes time. So basically, it is more difficult to coexist due to more time spent. Basically, once you get adjusted with the this particular system, and here in conventional surgery, we have to spend more time of recovery of that particular patient for the to become a normalized. So that's why the conventional surgery is having more time-consuming procedure. That's why this minimal engineering surgery, laparoscopy surgery, is immense and having becoming popular nowadays. So why laparoscopy is there? It is a minimally disturbance of soft tissue and blood vessel. Basically, when you pass the telescope and you can see the organs inside, we can choose that particular organ. We can go to the directly to the targeted organ, and you can explore the all the abdominal cavity if possible, and if you need any changes in there, and this thing, or after surgery also you can see any damage to the adjacent tissue or something, and you can incorporate that. See, that's why this which will give the clear visualization of the abdominal cavity without disturbances of more soft tissue and blood supply also, and you can immediately you can encounter and you can check the blood bleeding and hemorrhages by cauterization. Then again, the same thing is there. The less hospitalization is needed, and more because of the more hospitalization, the hospital inpatient, communal infection, and another issues are there. Most of the animals are not compatible in hospital; they are more compatible in the home. That's why this laparoscopy is called as a daycare surgery, and more, that's why and more less time consuming. That's why this is having more importance. The post-operative pain and medications also reduced because of the less hospitalization. Pain, again, animal recovers very fast, so more post-operative care and management is not necessary. This growing interest in the dog by the owners, basically because they don't have much time in cities like metropolitan cities. People are busy in their business, job, service, and this they cannot give more time to the this patient. So that's why this gives a very big advantage to the most of the owners also. That's why owner is also interested in the laparoscopy surgery. This basically one what if any surgeon or any new worker want to develop a skill of laparoscopy surgery or this thing. This basically the qualities of that person or the surgeon should have. This it should be loyal, humble, and basically uh, in short, it's one should have a patience and having any interest to learn. This basically persons are very good in extracurricular activities like sporty nature, and they're having the habit of the playing video games or the sport games on this online, and this particularly they can very much get adapted to the video entertainer, where basically before starting a laparoscopy surgery and actually on animal we have to develop a skill on endo trainer, basically the video entertainer, which gives a very good adaptation to your eye and eye coordination. Basically, what we have to do, you have to work with the hand looking on the in the monitor, and we have to manipulate the abdominal, maybe chest organs. That's why this hand and eye coordination is very much essential. That's why endo trainer is most important. Those are very good in sports. And those are the sport games and other video games, and this thing they get very good acquainted. this interest of gadget, basically those are having this very small machines tools which gives them more better results other than the conventional method or any other thing. Those having the interest in that, they can learn early well. So it needs software uh, for the this capturing and other recording and this thing. And while doing, one should have a very free mind. You can listening music or something like that. So you'll get it. But if the reverse to that, anxious, angry, blamer type of nature is not fit for this particular laparoscopic surgery, then basically, in short, it needs a very good patience for the laparoscopic surgery. Even in conventional surgery, also we need a patience, and one should have a ability to take a quick decision to that time for the proper treatment and proper management of that particular. These young people can catch it very well, particularly compared to the comparative to this older, but even those are having interest in learning, they can learn it. The prior experience of general surgery not necessary is a prerequisite, but still I can say one should, if one is one is someone is having good hand in conventional surgery, so they'll also able to do laparoscopic surgery in proper way, but they have to adjust with the new instrument and equipment. This laparoscopy surgery demands special skills, combination of knowledge. Basically, one should have a better knowledge of anatomy, structure of abdomen, chest, and this cardiovascular system, or GIT tract. One should have knowledge of physiology, pathology. Then adequate knowledge sound knowledge is very much essential before going or dealing with them any surgery, laparoscopic surgery, or the diagnosis, or maybe treatment. Then judgment, basically actual visualization of the picture and the distance, magnification of the picture under laparoscopy or under this telescope. This little bit difference is there. One should have get acquainted with the this actual picture seen under the telescope by telescope, and the real picture, little bit difference is there. Slight magnifications are there, so one should get acquainted with that. Technical ability is most important. One should have a basic knowledge of the instrument, equipment, in short physics, and there may be light source and this thing. This technical ability one should have. Then basically it is a continuous learning process. Any maybe conventional method, maybe anything, any procedure there. All workers are new. Any new case is new for them. Basically, each and every case is new for them. So basically, it is a learning throughout life. It is a learning process, and one should take in that way. That basically this ergonomics is very much important. It interference between man and machine to improve the task performance. And this most complications in laparoscopy, wrong ergonomics. Basically, this ergonomics means if any even not in laparoscopy, the person working in a factory or in this any industry, that if he get acquainted with the environment and this thing and get adjusted to the procedure, more comfortable, stress-free, then the risk factor is very less. Though he is working with any machine, and even maybe laparoscopy, then you can ultimately can reduce the cost, you can reduce the trace, you can reduce the risk, you can reduce the this more safety is there in this case, and again you can increase the productivity. Whatever the results are always good. So one should get the well acquainted with that particular environment, and then we'll get the better results. Uh, that's why ergonomics plays a major role in laparoscopic surgery. The component of ergonomics, this basically this you can see the height of the table, the handle of the instrument at the elbow level, the mechanical and electronic arrangement of the adjustable height, then V-top table, basically manually manipulated, or this you can get this remote control tables where you can tilt the table down, up, both the side, or you can left, right. or you can make a V shape, you can make a flat. So like this type of table should be very much essential, required for the laparoscopic surgery, particularly V-top. And this V-top table manually, you can modify it into V. Again, you can make a flat also. So that type of tables are available. So we also manufactured from the fabricated from one of the manufacturer, and we made this type of table, and we with remote control also, with manually also. Then how to the surgeon, where surgeon should stand, where the assistant should be stand, how to handle the instrument equator. You can see the picture where the surgeon is there, and this trolley is there, where the all setup is there, including monitor and light source, cable, indoflator, and electric cautery, and all things are set in that particular system. The V-type table is also there, animal is on the table, and this type of procedure and this thing in at the head side of the animal, you can put the anesthetic machine and the monitor, this multi-para monitor for monitoring the pulse, heart, and oxygen saturation level. So this is the arrangement. Eye of the surgeon, target organ of the, basically the head tilt to 15 degree of the surgeon, reduces 20. Basically, the monitor should be 15 degree, 5 times this diagonal with length of the monitor, and the monitor should be little bit down than the eyes level of the particular surgeon. So the level of the screen and monitor should be 10 to 15 per degree down from the surgeon's eye level. The OT light ventricle is nowadays ideally the 20 lux is useful. The LED lights are nowadays available. You can use for the OT light, the overhead light. Manipulation angle should be 60 degree ideal. The port placement, the collateral position with the telescope in center, and working ports out to other sides. Again, this port placement is depends on the what type of surgery you are doing, and maybe orectomy, orestictomy, or vasectomy, or some others, maybe laparoscopic. Accordingly, you can choose the secondary ports. That is the other, that is called working port, and the initial port, the primary port, generally we are using for the insertion of telescope, and this other ports. And if you need a, you can use two port system. Generally, three ports are there: primary port for the telescope, secondary second and tertiary port. This three port system most of the surgeons are using. But if you need a additional port, you can use, and sometimes some surgeries you can do with the two ports also. And one more system is now in advance. So the single port system is also the telescope is can be inserted from the same port, and this that particular port is having the telescope is having the working channel. From that also small surgery we can do it. Single port system is also nowadays available, advanced system. Then basically the angle between the instrument and the body of this 30 degree should be there. Then this angle between the telescope and instrument 30 degree, if more than, then there will be lack of depth perception. This you will get a little bit difficulty in the understanding the size of the organ. So how do we perform laparoscopy? Basically, in laparoscopy, preparation of the patient is most important. 24 hours fasting is more important. You have to evacuate the GIT tract by using oral medications, or you can do, if not possible by that, you can go for enema. And proper preparation of patient is most important. Before that, you have to check the CBC, LFT, KFT, the blood proper hematobiochemical parameters of that particular patient. If possible, you can go for the ECG or 2D, whatever the things are there. If possible, you can go for the ultrasonography for this basic idea and primary diagnosis of the case. And then you can subject to the particular patient for the anesthesia. In dogs and cats, the various anesthetic techniques are developed. We have also developed the many anesthetic techniques for the many surgical laparoscopic techniques. Nowadays, what we are using is in dogs this propofol at the dose rate of 5 milligram. Before that, as a pre-anesthetic, we can use diazepam, you can use halazine, you can use triflupromazine, or dexmedetomidine can be combined, and you can induction can be done with the propofol intravenously. And once induction is done, then proper jaw muscle relaxation and everything is there, that animal can be connected to the endotracheal tube, and the anesthetic machine can be connected, and the maintenance of the anesthesia comfortably can be done with either isoflurane or the sevoflurane. Maybe it takes, for initial worker, it takes 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever it will be. Then the prolonged maintenance of anesthesia, there will be any much problem. This for the with the inhalation analysis with the isoflurane, and monitoring with the patient on the multiparameter. Then equipments and instruments, basically I'll enlist the instrument equipment. What are the instrument equipments that required for the laparoscopy, and this and other procedures for the insufflations, and instruments required for insufflation, desufflation, and this thing. They already explained about the patient, surgeon, assistant positions. So we'll show the one video also on photo. This photo also, where you can understand where and surgeon and the assistant should be stand. Then once everything is ready, preparation of the patients. Basically, in preparation, you have to save the whole abdominal cavity, the abdominal, not abdominal, lower abdominal part, and the proper sterilization should be done, proper draping and all should be done, and we can then the first phase is with insertion of Veress needle, and that this insertion of Veress needle is most important for the creation of pneumoperitoneum or insufficiency. Basically, in conventional method, two risks are there: surgery and anesthesia. In laparoscopic, three risk factors are there. One is anesthesia, second is surgery, and the second is the pneumoperitoneum, where we are ballooning the abdominal cavity for the creating the working space for the handling of the organs and the movement of the these instruments. So that's how we have to create the working space. That is the which, because of the ballooning on into pneumoperitoneum is the gas. Generally, we use CO2 for the insufflation. That's because of the CO2 insufflation and this thing. Any gas, you can even use room filter air also, and other gases that can be used. But most of the times, and most of the workers, they prefer the CO2, which is readily get absorbed in the blood and thrown out of the body. That's why CO2 is more scientifically good, and it is approved. So that because of the ballooning pneumoperitoneation, there is a pressure on the diaphragm. So because of the anesthesia, most of the time, most of the anesthesia techniques are cardiopulmonary depressant. Again, you are ballooning the abdominal cavity, so more pressure on the diaphragm. Again, it may reduce little bit cardiopulmonary function. So that's why this is the another risk, one additional risk in laparoscopic surgery. But if you are comfortable with the anesthesia and maintenance of the anesthesia along with the isoflurane with the oxygen, then not much problem. Then once you pass Veress needle and the creation of pneumoperitoneum is there, then from that part only we have to pass the primary port, this trocar, and through that trocar you can pass the telescope, and you can visualize or explore the whole abdominal cavity. Any damage because of the Veress needle or anything you can see, and then you can go for the insertion of the secondary and tertiary port, or you can say working ports for the insertion of the accessory organs, other accessories, maybe scissor, maybe grasping forceps or biopsy forceps, like that. Then once everything is done, you can go for the targeted organ, maybe urectomy, urestectomy, or maybe vasectomy, maybe fistulotomy, or maybe gastropexy, maybe gastroplacation, or any other procedure what you have to do, you can do it comfortably. And after that, this cauterization and cutting of that particular this surgery, stopping of the blood by the electric coagulation, or maybe sutures if taken or if needed. And after the completion of surgery, again you can explore the abdominal cavity, any damage or any burning effect on the adjacent tissue or any organ, abdominal wall you can see, or you can once you can check the whole abdominal cavity, then you can go for the removal of the telescope and the desufflation, removal of the air and the ports, and again the closure of the wound. These are the steps in the laparoscopy particularly. And after that, then you have to, once animal is recovering, showing gag replace, you can remove the endotracheal tube and disconnect the anesthetic machine. So these are the some instruments I am showing. This is the 5 mm 0 degree telescope, then single cheap camera. Three cheap cameras also nowadays available. Again, the new versions are coming nowadays, but it's very costly matter. But single chip camera can be preferred for initial worker, and which is with fiber optic cable. Uh, this is the telecom xenon lights source. It's very good. You can use a halogen light source also. Previously, most of people will use halogen light source, and this basically these are the cool lights, and which can be easily and comfortably used in the abdominal cavity. And this is the this can see endoplator and camera source. This is again the CO2 endoplator. This these are the automatic. You just set the whatever the air you want to insert in the body, 2 liter per minute in rate. This basically in dogs, normal average dog, 11 to 12 mm of the pressure is most important. In cats, 6 to 7, or if even say a small cat, you can go up to the 5. In large dog, Great Dane or any other dog, this may be Saint Bernard, some other dogs, we can go up to the 15, 16, 17. It needs a clinical experience, and accordingly we can insufflate it. This is the insufflation unit where you can monitor the, or you can create the pneumothorax. These are the trolley setup. Sorry. This is a LCD monitor where you can utilize all the pictures because of the telescope, then xenon code light source, then telecom with one chip camera, the electronic carbon dioxide interpolator, then documentation system. The software should be there where you can record all the videos or all the pictures during your surgery, which is having a keyboard, or you can have a click system on the hand or on foot pad also. You can click the that time you automatically it records the and captures the video and photographs, which can be can give to the owner after surgery, and or you can use it for a teaching purpose or research purpose for the further use. Then electric unit is there. So this is most important. Many electric cartridges are available in the market, Indian and this car stores and Coidin many. So these are very much essential and efficient. They can use as bipolar or single polar, and you can cauterize the, you can coagulate the vessels and major arteries also. This is the CO2 cylinder behind. You can keep behind also, inside also, and this is the foot pad uh, for the working of the cautery. This is the instruments for the access. These are the procars. Procars are two types. Telescope is also two types. 0 degree 5 mm, 0 degree 10 mm. If 10 mm procar is there, we need ln mm of the. So if telescope, if we are using 10 mm, then procar are ln. If you are using the telescope for 5 mm, then procars are 6 mm. And if you are using the 5 mm telescope along with the ln mm procar, then which will have a one reducer that you can use, you can apply them on top of the that procar, and you can reduce the size so there will not be except or a leakage of the gas from the procar. These are the procars. If you will get the procar plain threaded, both the types. Nowadays plastic disposable procars are also available. This is the Verus needle, which is like a procar canal and is having a flexible movement. This is the myloid grasping forceps to grasp the tissues, organs. This is the cut scissor to cutting the tissues. This is the biopsy. This cautery unit is the biopsy forceps. You can attach to the cable, and with the help of the foot pad, you can coagulate and do the biopsy also and cauterization. This is the position of the monitor and the whole trolley setup. Animal is in tenterhoof position, all four legs up, and feet of table is there. You can see animal is connected to the anesthetic machine other side, and you can see the surgeon's position while operating the patient, and this is the whole setup of the laparoscopy unit. This is the basically you have to take a once you prepare the animal, take on table, anesthesia is complete, everything is there, proper position of animal is done. Then what you have to take? You have to take a nick small incision with the scalpel number 15 or 10. This nick incision either on the upper side of the umbilical or the side, either left or right side of the umbilicus. Small nick of the on the skin, and then you can pass the Verus needle. Then Verus needle is having the phalangeal movement. Once you press this serrated part of the Verus needle, then it pierces. It is having the piercing end and blunt end also. The piercing end goes through that cut portion of the skin in the muscle, and then it cuts the peritoneum, and you'll get a typical feel of the cut of the peritoneum, like we are getting the feel while giving intravenous injection routine practice. So once you'll get acquainted with this, you will be ensure that you are in the abdominal cavity. You just release it, then the blunt end goes in the abdominal cavity and cutting end comes up, and then you can connect the silicone tube of endoplator to the Verus needle. Before that, what you have to do, you have to take it 2 to 3 ml of the normal saline or distilled water in the syringe, and insert in the instill in the Verus needle. If that particular water goes directly into the abdominal cavity, there will not be accumulation of the. This is called hanging drop system, and if needle is somewhere attached to the any tissue or in between the muscle or peritoneum, the water will remain there only, or saline will remain there only. So then you have to redirect it. This is you can after with this hanging drop system you can confirm whether it is your abdominal cavity or outside. Once Verus needle, silicone tube is attached to the Verus needle, then you have to start the flow of the CO2, that's 2 liter per minute, and you have to maintain the pressure 11 to 12 in normal or average dog size. Then while passing the air, inserting the air in the abdomen, can just tap the abdomen so that any tissue or any falciparum ligament or any should not be adhered to the Verus needle. So keep tapping. While tapping, you can understand the sound, resonance sound of the gas, so that you ensure that gas is going inside, and accordingly you can create the pneumoperitoneum as per your need, as per the size of the animal. So this is the once you create the pneumoperitoneum, then this is the insertion of the camera port, or you can say primary port. You can remove that Verus needle, and from that place only you can pass the primary port. The primary port you can pass directly by squeezing method, or you can increase little bit incision of the incision which we have taken for the insertion of the Verus needle. That you can extend little bit and you can pass the port directly, and just by squeezing method, or if you are worried, you can put the camera, the telescope in that port, and under the guidance of telescope also you can go to the abdominal cavity. So once you pass the primary port, that same silicone tube can be attached to that primary port to maintain the pneumoperitoneum at the level which you need. Then you have to pass the telescope in the primary port. You see this. Once you pass the telescope from the primary port, before that you can visualize the all of the cavity, explore the abdominal cavity, any damage because of Verus needle or any other issues are there, you can see, and then you can insert secondary and tertiary port under guidance of the telescope, and for the working ports can then this is the procedure basically. This one thing is the preparation of the animal, anesthesia, position of the animal, then creation of pneumoperitoneum, passing of the primary port, secondary port, tertiary port, and once it is over, exploration of the abdomen cavity in this thing, then we can do some mini surgeries, collection of biopsy, something. So these are the common laparoscopic procedures at our unit. We are doing this diagnosis of the abdominal disorders, return ori tissues. Basically, most of the in conventional method, most of the workers they keep ori, remnant ori in abdominal cavity. Animals exhibit the heat and shows the symptoms of stress and these problems. We can diagnose it and you can identify it and you can remove it. Ori hysterectomy can be done. Orectomy can be done. Vasectomy can be done. We need this removal of the retained testicles. Then gastropexy, gastric plication, which is the one of the project Dr. Tripathi particularly did his PhD on that particular project to reduce the weight of the animal. And this basically related to bariatric surgery. Then lap-assisted gastropexy, lap-assisted gastrocystotomy, lap-assisted enterotomy. These are the we have used in abdominal cavity. Even we have done a project on the thoracoscopy. One of my PG and one of the PhD student, Dr. Shahir Gaikwad, work on the thoracoscopy and for the collection of the biopsy of the pleura, lung, and some other issues of the heart and this chest cavity. And he completed his PhD on the thoracoscopy. So, and even we have used that particular method for the diagnosis and the treatment or correction of the diaphragmatic hernia in cats and dogs with the help of laparoscope assisted method. This is the diagnostic laparoscopy. I am not showing all pictures. So this is one of the picture where the this intestinal tumors are there, which are diagnosed under the laparoscopy, and the biopsy is taken and sent for the histopathology. We can take the biopsy of spleen, liver comfortably. I mean, any disorders are there, any other organs having the tumor in the this thing, you can take the biopsy comfortably. And once the confirmation comes, you can go deal with either conventional method or any other method for the treatment of that particular tumor. So biopsy can be done of many organs comfortably with the laparoscopic method. So this is the intussusception, which can be diagnosed easily with the laparoscopy. You can see the telescopic insertion of the intestinal loops, which are identified properly. And after that, this once it identified under the telescope or laparoscope, then they are extruderized or taken out of the abdominal wall by extending the incision of that which is taken for the primary port, and you can remove the loop comfortably, and it reduces the time and for the diagnosis and less handling of the tissues there, and comfortably you can remove the these affected loops of the intestine. Then this is the laparoscopic vasectomy. It is a very convenient method for the if somebody want to retain the testicle in the pouch and they want to sterilize the dog. So laparoscopic this vasectomy is very much useful, where you have to same thing, you have to do the procedure, the insufflation, primary port, secondary port, and you have to grasp the vas deferens and if you want to do the coagulation of the vas deferens along with the vascular part for this or this arteries and veins, that also can be possible, or only vas deferens can be coagulated. And this you can under guidance of the telescope you can do the vasectomy properly. So this is the grasping of the coagulation of the vas deferens and cutting of the vas deferens. You can see this is the cut portion of the extrude through the working port, which is removed from the working port. Then crept. This is the retained testicle, which is again identified under the telescope. And once it is identified, it can be grasped and easily coagulated. The cauterization of the testicular artery and vein plexus properly, and after coagulation you can cut with the scissor, and you can, if both the testicles are retained, then one testicle can be parked near the bladder and you can go for the other testicle. If only single testicle is there, you can remove from any working port. And if it is not possible, the size is bigger, then just increase the incision little bit and you can take out the abdominal cavity. Most of the times from the same incision we can take it out. because most of the retained testicles are hypoplasia. They are reduced in size, not a hyperplasia. They are only they are hypoplasia. Then this is the removal of the retained testicle from the abdominal cavity. You can see the testicles are removed comfortably. So this is the stepwise establishment mirror to pneumopurulent, post-pulpation and umbilicus. These are the some photographs you can see. So again the photographs passing of the nick incision for the Barrett's needle and hanging drop system. So this is the incision and the insertion of the third port, caudal and gypoid. Then cauterization and dissection of the falciparum ligament. Most of the times, falciparum ligament is interfering the procedure. Here we can grasp it properly, and we can remove it or we can extrudize, which will not interfere. Particularly for gastric plication, this will be more important for the handling of the stomach. Then the retraction of liver lobe by for visualization of the gastric antrum. Basically, this is very much essential for the gastropexy and the gastric plication. So liver retractors are available. You can insert it from the any port and you can retract the liver. And this grasping of the antrum. You can see this incision and insertion of third port, caudal and gypoid. Cauterization dissection of the falciparum ligament. Then retraction of liver, grasping of the antrum, then this placement of the stay sutures with the 2-0 or the you have to take the suture on the this stomach and you have to suture to the right abdominal wall of the animal for the avoid the complications like GDV in future or repeated cases of the GDV, and you can stop the occurrences of the. This is gastropexy. You can see the stomach is sutured to the abdominal wall. You can see. If any bleeding is there, you can take a causpice, soak in iodine or tincture iodine or betadine or any coagulated material and just place over it. The where sutures and any bleeding point is there, and wait for some time, it will stop the bleeding. So this is the suturing of the two walls, simple continuous suture matter of the with the Vicryl. You can see this is another photographs. Then after that, the termination of the laparoscopy, you can see the sutures taken on the skin. Very small incisions are there, less than 1 centimeter. So they will not even know any woundiations or any chances of suture to give way or any complications are there. This is the laparoscopic assisted cystotomy where you have the same procedure is there. You have to insert the primary port, secondary port, tertiary port, and you have to identify the bladder. You take out the bladder and just increase the incision from the abdominal wall. Take out the bladder at the site of the incision, and you can pass the suction irrigation device, and you can remove all the stones very small size. If it is larger size, you can remove it by manually, and once they are removed properly, then this is the identification of the bladder, which is taken out of the abdominal cavity. This is the bladder is out of the abdominal cavity, where we can use the this suction irrigation or manually you can remove all the stones. Once stones are removed, then you can suture the bladder and insert in the abdominal cavity and close the abdominal cavity. So this is the suction and irrigation of this bladder. This is the complete. After completion of procedure, you have to suture the bladder and insert in the abdominal cavity. There, as compared to the conventional method of cystotomy, less contaminations. In conventional method of cystotomy, we use retrograde hydropressure, manipulation, more manipulation, and this thing. Here we can avoid all these things. Most of the stones can be removed mechanically by the use of machine or suction irrigation. If at all needed, you can use this thing, and less contaminations are there. That's why less recovery. Fast recovery is there. and animal is more comfortable. So this is the video था ये. You can see the video how to pass ferrous needle and this thing. Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Gaikwad both are my PhD student and they are demonstrating how to pass various needle and ports. Hello. आवाज येते का?
वीडियो का आवाज आ रहा है वीडियो प्ले आवाज आ
हाँ, एक नोट के लेकर
नहीं, क्लैरिटी पूरी है लेकिन आवाज नहीं आ रही।
आपल्याला ते मला भी आ रहा है this, this is the method. This is say, say, say what 2 liter per minute is the fuel.
खांडेकर सर, वीडियो में आवाज नहीं आ रही है, आप ही को बोलना पड़ेगा।
This is the various needed insertion. Audio is not there. Video is clear, and then to the trapping of the abdomen cavity. to discussion of abdominal cavity. After that, once the pressure is reached at 12, then you can remove the varus needle, then put the primary. You have to insert the primary port. Slight, slight increase in the incision, little bit increase of the incision. The increase of the incision. Is it the then this is the threaded telescope. You have to insert, squeeze it, slowly in the abdominal cavity. Just close the wall, attach the silic tube, open the wall.
हाँ हाँ बोलो हाँ बोलो
Yes. This is the white. This is the white balance to get a clear picture. Abdominal cavity. Just just insert the camera in the primary port. Insert push in the yes. You can see yes. You can explore the abdominal cavity. Then then under the guidance of telescope, you can go for the secondary port. You can see so this is the first primary, secondary port. You can see the movement of the scalpel and trocar under the telescope. Triangle. central position of the telescope and two lateral ports are there. The next slide. And this is the collection of the biopsy. This exploration of the abdominal cavity. You can see clearly all the abdominal organs. You can see the liver, distended gallbladder. You can see the part of the stomach. You can see the diaphragm. You can see the movement of the heart from the muscular tendinous junction of the diaphragm. This is the video of the retained testicle removal. This you can identify. Once you identify the retained testicle, you have to grasp it with the grasping forceps. Then you have to coagulate the testicular arteriovenous plexus along with the vas deferens. You can clearly see the vascular part of the testicle and avascular part of the testicle. And once you identify it, you can use the cautery and you can coagulate it properly. You can see the coagulation fumes also properly. If you are using room filter air, you will get the more fumes comparative to the carbon dioxide. Then once it is properly coagulated, you can cut it. You can cut the other tissues, vas deferens. Then after that, the testicle is completely free. Assistant will give you a proper view for cutting of the tissue, and you have to cut it slowly by observation. If any small bleeding or anything, you have to check it properly, and then you can incorporate and you can park it or you can remove from the same port. Again, after completion of procedure, you have to check the, you can push it to the other port. You can pass a artery forceps or any other forceps from the other port, and assistant will give that for testicle. After coagulation, you have to cut the tissue. That is a once you cut the tissue properly, both the testicles are parked near the bladder. Then one by one, both are taken out of the abdominal cavity from one of the working port. The port is removed and the testicle is squeezed and taken out of the abdominal cavity. So you can see, compared to the conventional method of removal of retained testicle, it is much easier and clear procedure without less bleeding. One of my PG students also worked on the comparison of conventional method of removal of retained testicle versus lap assisted removal of retained testicle. Lap assisted retained testicle removal of retained testicle is more convenient and less bleeding and handling of the tissue is there. The same way other testicle is removed. You have to explore the abdominal cavity once again. So small bleeding is there because of the damage of the varus needle. So this is the orectomy. You have to grasp the ovary properly, coagulate it properly. Slowly you have to cut it. If any small bleeding is there, immediately you have to encounter it, use the cautery and stop the bleeding. The same way, the uterine side of the blood vessels are cauterized of the ovary. So this is the uterine side of vascular supply is cauterized properly. Then cutting of the cauterized portion. This is the cutting of the falciparum ligament for gastric fixation, for the better access to the stomach. Then suturing of the stomach to reduce the size of the stomach at a greater curvature. Once you reduce the size of the stomach, after that animal is observed for the intake, loss of मेरा आवाज नहीं आ रहा? हेलो. Once you
सर आप आपका आवाज आ रहा है पूरा।
Once you'll suture the stomach to reduce the size of the stomach, you have to observe for the animal for intake and weight loss. Even simultaneously, we did the oropectomy of that particular patient. If any hormonal related issues are there, which are also observed under this study. Dr. Tripathi worked for this procedure. This is the removal of the ovary. The removal of the ovary from the port. After that, because of the manipulation and suturing, any bleeding or any fluid is there which is taken out by the suction irrigation comfortably. All the suture material and everything is removed properly. You can see this is the suction irrigation. With the help of suction irrigation, we can remove all the unnecessary fluid and bleeding. Again, exploration of the abdominal cavity. So, these are the advantages of gastric flexion, the separation of greater curvature. These are the steps actually. Curvature from the omental abdominal cavity, insertion of two number of Prolene this suturing material in abdominal cavity and suturing, and irrigation by the suction irrigation machine of the abdominal cavity. So this is the again same video. Then few other surgeries are there. Orectomy, orectomy is also there. Because of the time, we cannot show it. But anybody is interested to come and learn in our center, always welcome. And this after completion of any surgery, maybe orectomy, orectomy, removal of return testicle, clitoridectomy or vasectomy, this gastric plication, then gastropexy. Any procedure after that you have to once the procedure complete, you have to examine the abdominal cavity properly for any problem or any complications or any bleeding point is there. Then you have to remove the telescope and you have to remove the ports and decirculation of the abdominal cavity properly. Then you have to remove the ports comfortably, suturing of the wounds either by creel or the adhesive material. So this is the telestethoscope. This is a 1.7 mm, which is used for the diagnosis and treatment of the affections of teeth and udder. So these are the portable unit actually, and you can insert the telescope in the teeth canal and you can see any tumor or any issues are there can be removed. One of my students also worked on this affections of the teeth and udder in large and small ruminants, and the papers are published in Polyweight only. Under the guidance of Dr. Bhatia, and this most of the work has been done in our training center and in the department comfortably, and we have conducted many trainings in this. This you can see we have completed more than 15 PGTCs, then 18 trainings for the veterinarians and 4 trainings for the medicos, and more than 15 research recommendations we have received for the laparoscopy. 3 PhD students we have completed in the 4 PhD theses are completed in the for the laparoscopic procedures. So basically, any questions are there, I am welcome. But special thanks to all the executive members of the ISFSA, including Dr. S.S. President and Executive Secretary D.B. Patil sir, all the executive members of the ISFS, my senior teachers, my students, my senior junior colleagues, and special thanks to Dr. Nitin Bhatia Imtiaz for the giving opportunity to me deliver this type of laparoscopy, minimally invasive techniques in veterinary practice. If anybody is interested, can contact directly. We have one website that vetsurg.in, where you get the all information of laparoscopy and most of the videos also you get on that particular website. Dr. Deepak sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the webinar was self-explanatory, hence no more questions by the participants or the attendees, but they appreciated the speaker for nice and marvelous presentation. So,
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me.
Okay. Sir, then we will go ahead. Thus, I would like to express my sincere thanks to today's speaker, Dr. G.S. Khandekar, Professor, Veterinary Surgery and Radiology, Mumbai Veterinary College, Maftu, Mumbai, for sparing valuable time and delivering such a wonderful and nice, interesting webinar on minimally invasive surgery in small animals, and shared his clinical experience on this matter. He has discussed each and every aspect on clinical application of the laparoscopy in small animal practice. I am also thankful to Dr. Simrat Sagar Singh, President ISCS, Dr. D.B. Patil, Executive Secretary ISCS, and all the executive members of ISCS for their constant motivation and support. I am also thankful to my webinar team, especially Dr. Nitin Bhatia, INTAS Animal Health, Dr. Nilesh Sindhu, Dr. Devesh Kelawala, and Amanjot Singh for their cooperation and hard work to make this webinar series live and successful. I am also thankful to all the attendees of this webinar and hope the session would be helpful, and definitely the technique will be adopted by the attendees in the small animal practice and help to mitigate the animal sufferings in future. Thank you each and everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again, one and all.